Oh, today we're going to continue the conversation around some relationship values. This is more of, I've talked to people recently that has to do with, feedback coming from individuals that have watched the videos and also people that I've talked to in person. And what has really come to my awareness is where people lay, or where they find themselves in relationship structures and situations is how many times have we heard something like, what is it better to have loved than lost or never to have loved at all? And one of the follow-ups is, then you've never loved. And which is is it more painful to have actually had someone in your life and then not have them, get used to a certain type of experience or sensation or feel that, and then it's lost. Now, what I'm going to talk about today is, it's a variation of that question. And as I have it in the comments of this, is it better to love yourself or to have someone else love you first? Now, with this question, it's really not about if you should love yourself. As we all know, people have repeated it to nauseam. It's cliche, love yourself first. But how many people understand exactly how to do so? Sometimes it takes someone else's love for us to recognize something about us. There's really, again, there's not a right or wrong answer for this. It's more of the reality of where you are. My thing is, I avoid trying to put a right or wrong on something. Not as an absolute, not as a guarantee always, that kind of thing. It's more of the only way we can understand a right or wrong outside of like moral situations, like, if you do something, somebody's hurt, or, you are hurt, or, physically, or if life is threatened, we can call some of those things like, we have some right and wrong variables there and understandings. But other than that, we have to understand where you currently are in your goals. Like, what are your goals? If you get advice without goal orientation and an understanding, the person's only giving you a projected idea of advice from their own life. Doesn't mean it's going to work for you. It just may sound good. It may seem like it fits in the placeholder that you have, but it doesn't mean that it's actually right. It just may sound really good. I'll get into the advice portion of this too in just a second, because I've been kind of leaving that off for a bit, and I think it's really a beneficial thing to bring into play here. But so what is the right answer? There isn't one. Unless we were to really understand your goal, then we have a right or wrong. We're all practicing life. If we're practicing life, how do you do it right and how do you do it wrong? You have to learn ineffective approaches in order to understand how to do the effective approach. You have to have the due diligence, the effort, in order to follow through, the wherewithal to accomplish a specific outcome. What is this? Huh. Oh, strange. Anyway, something was vibrating on my desk, but it wasn't my phone. Okay. Oh, these wonderful distractions that kick in. So, which is better? When we're with other people, they can also, the more connected, the more intimate they are. And again, intimacy is not necessarily sexual. Intimacy could be just this simple depth of being able to connect with another person. The more intimate we are with that person, the more we can see. The more we can see, it was my security system, actually. We're good. Okay. Sorry, that's kind of important to me that I do keep an eye on that. Okay. It's because it's an interesting world we're in. With the intimacy that another person gives us an insight onto ourselves. Now, as we continue to continue to go through the daily exercises and activities of our life, we'll understand more about ourselves as we interact with other people. How we behave under certain situations and circumstances, to the desirable and the undesirable. And that'll give us some sort of insight on who we are. Now, when you're with somebody and you feel that they love you or you love them, they may love you in a way that you've never loved yourself. And it's this sensation of feeling accepted to a greater degree, but it also comes with a sense of almost dependency, that the person be there in order for you to have that source of awareness. I love when you do this, or I love when you do that, or the way that you speak, or the way that you act, or the way that, it's something about you that really excites me about being around you, and that person feels good and is reciprocated back to you feeling good. But it also feels like there's a dependency. If it's not there, then where is it? It makes you want to hang on to that relationship longer than the relationship may be healthy to hang on to. Not to say that, if you hang on to it past its shelf life, that you wouldn't learn and develop something out of that. You may also learn from going past its shelf life what a shelf life really feels like for a relationship. There's absolutely, you should work through challenges as much as you can, but there are points in time whenever it's better to separate and move on. It's all going to be individualized, though. For other people to throw their opinions in is actually increases a detrimental outcome at times, because it's propping you up and it may make you an actor for them on a stage that they're tinkering with. But I'll get into that again in just a minute. But as far as to love yourself first or to have someone else love you first, it's you discover who you are through the eyes of another. It's not always what you think it is. And we're not always who we believe we are whenever somebody else finally tells us who we are. Sometimes it makes us feel embarrassed because somebody really does pay attention and they care enough to tell us how they feel about us in a way that we're feeling embarrassed, but in a good way. And it could be the embarrassed in a bad way, and I can't believe you feel that way, and they feel slighted or something about their character has been damaged. Even if it's just their idea about themselves gets damaged. So as far as this is concerned, understand where you are. Give yourself the forgiveness to love yourself and to, open up to love other people. It's a great place to be. It's a great experience to have. But I'm also not the one that's responsible for your life. You are. I personally prefer to live as much as I have the time to do. Why not? Why not really take a chance on life? I mean, obviously, safeguard yourself enough that you're not making, you're not creating more harm than what you're able to recover from. Be aware of those things, but also to take a chance. If you've been hurt in the past, what are you going to do about that? Are you going to live in fear that pain will come back? There's so many things. If you're hurt when you're 20, by the time you're 30, you may understand what was actually something that was out of balance about that relationship. And you can create another one now that reflects more of a desirable outcome. So many people go into relationships with the intention of the other person validating them. You should validate me. That's a common thing. Why are we so caught up in having other people validate us? Tell me I'm pretty, or tell me I'm in great shape, or why don't you tell me these things? And whatever that list that falls into the category there, right? Whatever becomes the categories of tell me these things. And you feel like you're pulling that from your partner, or your partner's trying to pull that from you. It could also just be that they just feel that they need to be validated. And what are you going to do about that validation? So, yeah, it's an interesting and powerful place to sit. You are the author of your future. But so many of us have ghostwriters writing our life out for us. And they're just writing out whatever they think that we want. Versus you being the author, you holding the pen, signing on and writing out your life and the book of life. In the series, the foundation series for the Ascending to Total Maturity, or the maturity program that I have, that would actually be a good reference for that program. It's like, this is your book of life. I'll build it, make it. Wherever you feel emotionally charged, that's a place where you really should put some focus on developing at some point. Don't push it off to the point that somebody else might come into your life and fix it because they have the resources to do it. You don't want to be that dependent on people. You want to be able to compliment other people. Turn every one of the things that you don't want other people to do to you, turn it around and make sure you're not doing that to other people. How often have you caught yourself doing that? Where you're like, I really wish this person would just not ask this of me. Oh, I wish this person would just do this thing for me. Whatever it is. Open the door, give me flowers, take out the trash. Whatever it is. Oh, there's a great book, by the way, as a little side note. I suggest this book for a lot of people in relationships. It's the 5 Love Languages. It's an excellent book. And it does give some insight. It helps. It gives tools to work through a relationship with. What I found when I read it is it gave me more of tools to work with me so I could realize more about me. So I could also prepare my partner and or partners in the future as it goes along. It has given a lot of clarity because I know more about what I expect in a way that makes me feel like the relationship has some degree of validity to it. That it is something of substance. That, to me, that was fantastic. And I do suggest it. But really, I suggest that you become intimate with you. It doesn't mean end partnerships or relationships you currently have. You'll have plenty of relationships that give you significant rewards. The person may be somebody who's great to spend time around. You can create a relationship today that becomes your best friend in the future, and it may change from what it is today in a way that you guys are just best friends, but you're not lovers. And it's okay to have that. But just prepare the other person in a way that they understand where they're at, but you can't prepare them if you don't know where you are. Love yourself as soon as you can. And by what I say by love yourself, there's a few key elements to loving yourself. Pick up a book that has something to do with a future goal of yours and read it. That'll be an act of love that you're doing for yourself. Write down a list of the stressors that you have in your life that you feel like you're struggling with. And start building out an action plan on dealing with that situation. Some things you're just going to have to accept because they're outside of your control. It could very well be that you have an attachment to it you've never recognized, but the attachment has been driving you. Maybe somebody told you you're supposed to do something by a certain time, and you just didn't realize that you took that to heart and it's become part of who you are. It's not a bad thing. It's just something to be aware of. And that may be one of the things that you built so much of your life on that you really can't change right away. You can accept it now, and over the years you can go through a practice of changing that over time if you choose to. Far too often we seem to spend more time disliking who we are by the way we behave, not really by the statements that we make, our personal mantras. We may not have that self-defecating type of conversation with ourselves that we're aware of. It could be like, I made a mistake, I'm so stupid. It could be that. That's a self-defecating type of thing. It could be. You may have a conversation still in your head that has to do with the way your parents talk to you. Maybe your school teachers that really meant something, or somebody of importance in your past. Might be. But by taking this on, you can start identifying those things and learn how to love yourself even more. I say this often, and if you follow these videos, or if you follow these episodes, you'll recognize that I have a common theme, and that is be the person that you wish to date. Don't wait for the person to show up. Be the change that you want to see in the world. These videos are that for me. Like these episodes that I go through, I want the world to have a different outcome. And from what I've seen lately, it seems like we're more geared towards destruction than we are about creation. It's we're just frustrated. Frustration's not a bad thing, but use it as a fuel source. If you feel frustrated from the partner or the lack thereof and you feel isolated or alone, lonely, And that is excellent energy to put into a vehicle to start helping you change the way that you see people and the way that you behave with people and turn yourself more into the person you'd like to date. How incredibly crazy would it be for you that if you wanted to date somebody who is different than who you want to be, why would you wait for somebody else to be better than you? Be the better you now. And the relationships that you want to have will show up. And this is personal, friendships, lovers, business, across the board. The more you develop yourself to be the right person, the more likely you are to have what you want. But if you avoid making yourself the right person and you keep layering onto the foundation built in a swamp and not on a solid foundation, then you're going to continue to have this rolling type of thing where, if you do become successful, it comes at the cost of your happiness or the cost of your ability to connect with other people. There are some artists right now that brag about the effort that they needed in order to survive before becoming famous. Like as far as drugging people and then offering to bring them back to their hotel with the promises of sex only to rob them. Hey, that's not brag-worthy. Let's not create a world that way. I don't want to see a world created that way. Value by contrast. It doesn't mean that, I'm not going to say that it's the worst thing in the world that it happened, but I definitely don't condone that behavior. I think it's a desperate behavior that over the years of not loving themselves, but practicing a mantra that is separate from their love of themselves, but the love of winning or the love of being successful or being a celebrity, intervened in who she is as a person and loving herself. Don't do that to yourself. I mean, you can do whatever it is that you want, but find that you will also attract people into your life that behave similar to you. So again, if you want a certain type of person in your life, be that person now. Start today. Build that person into who you are. Write it down. Realize where you are different and you deviate from that. Let other people in your life know, hey, I'm doing some things. I'm changing a few things about myself. That'll help. You'll feel more satisfied by accomplishing your goals, by having that person in your life. Or you can continue to have relationships where you're constantly seeking validation. Typically, a symptom of constantly seeking validation is commonly making the person wrong for not accomplishing it. That's a hell of a task to take on for a partner, especially if they don't know what the heck you want, other than the emotional coercion you put them through to try to get to manipulate them in a way that they're going to behave as a good boy or girl so that they get the affection and they get the emotions back that you're threatening to take away in the fight or the disagreement. I mean, I don't know about the rest of you, but I don't want a relationship where somebody is going to be, that submissive for me. Oh, I just don't want that. I want somebody who's going to be able to have, that's capable of being up to something, and somebody who makes the world different and better that they had been there. I'm going to close with this, but I really do want you to consider that in your book of life that you're writing down the story of yourself first in the actualization before you go into the realization or the desire for what you want. Write that down. What your chores are here, your tasks. But what I'd really like to also leave you with is, I don't do this particular behavior that I'm about to tell you about. I don't do it because I'm being watched. The only reason why I'm concerned with me being watched in any way, and the only reason why I'm even sharing this with you, is because I want to see the world be a better place that I had been there. So when I go to, let's say, a restroom and I see trash on the floor, I pick it up. If I see a sink running still, I stop it if it's by itself unoccupied. If I see that the bathroom needs something, doesn't matter where I'm at, work, personal life, even whenever I'm drunk, which I don't really get drunk. I get buzzed once in a while, but I really don't like getting drunk. But even whenever I would get drunk in my, a decade ago, which is about the timeline. Whenever I really was the last time I really think I got drunk. I'll tell management, you need supplies in that particular area, or you're running low on this, or whatever it is. If the trash is overflowing, I'll let them know, hey, if you got somebody to go check on that. I want the world to be a better place that I'd been there. I want the world to have better opportunities versus letting the integrity baseline slip to the point that it matches everybody else who steps over the trash, leaves the sink running, laughs about it, or does something to make the environment worse, not better. I do it when I walk my dog. I pick up trash. My house is on a corner lot. I constantly get things blown into the yard. I pick it up. I pick it up no matter where I'm at. When I take my runs in the morning, if I come across some trash, I'll stop and pick it up. And I'll put it into a trash can when I come across the next one. Or when I get home. I pick up after my dog. Because it's a standard that I hold myself to. But I want to see my partner or partners do such a thing. I want to see that they're geared to make a difference in the world like I am. Otherwise, we can be a mixed match. Doesn't mean that we're wrong for each other long term. It just, we may have some desirable elements right now that we can enjoy with each other. But I want the world to be a better place that I had been there. And that's my intention for this series. That's what my intentions for these videos are. That's what my intentions are every day whenever I wake up. I make my bed first thing in the morning, and then I start my daily routine. But before anything else happens, I make my bed. It's important because it's part of my routine to keep me in my own structure so that I can create what I want and know that I'm holding myself to a level of integrity that I consider to be better than it was the day before. So with that, that's my piece in closing. I really, really appreciate every one of you that watch these videos. I appreciate everybody who's in any way affiliated, or if you watch this now or you watch it 10 years from now or whenever you're watching the now that you're experiencing. I appreciate you. If you take out and you create the book of life for yourself, it's something that I absolutely will be emotionally charged over, because I know that I made a difference for you. Because that is a huge step into making a difference in your life. You're taking stock of your own life. And by taking stock of your own life, you're taking control of your own life, and you're starting to create the future versus being a recipient of a hand-down life that is just given to you by default. Or you can create what you want. But in order to create what you want, you need to be what you want. It's a process. Don't expect a lottery winning ticket. Just be the right person and be that person now. Work your way up. We got nothing but time to do it. Let's do it. Every day, 1%. Let's go. With that, thank you for watching the video. Thank you for taking the time. Thank you for sharing it. Thank you for being a part of this community. I greatly appreciate it. Don't forget, like, share, comment, subscribe. Oh, please, your comments do help. I do read them, and I do appreciate them. If you disagree with me and you think I've got my head up my butt, fantastic, tell me. At least I can talk to you about it. Just be open to it. Oh, but if you're out to just troll, don't bother. No, unless you want to troll and to get engaged and then possibly be a part of this. So, all right, with that, guys and gals, this is Chad Everett Brochures. I'm the host of Growing Up in the Wilds of Suburbia. I greatly appreciate your time again. And until next time, we're in this together. Let's be the people that we want to be and that we want to see the world accept. All right. With that, have a great time. Enjoy the rest of your day.